In this video, I'm going to show you the bosses that you should be killing as a low to medium level PVMer to make yourself some more money to get your way into the high level stuff. So these rates aren't going to be insanely high GP per hour, but they are going to be things you can do without having stupidly high level gear. You're not going to have tier 95s, you don't have to have 95 prayer and all this sort of stuff, but you are going to want to have some basic gear to do this. With necromancy being added to the game, you can probably do this quite easily with the tier 70, tier 80 gear, and then anything above that. Of course, having overloads always helps, but you're not going to need them for a lot of the bosses in this list, so just apply them where you think they'll be necessary. And with that being said, let's see where you can get your money. We're going to start off with one that many of you probably expected to see in here. The requirements are going to be very low, again, using necromancy gear. Tier 70 upwards, you're going to be easy enough to kill this boss. However, the higher, the better, and the more money you're going to make. Krill in God Wars Dungeon 1, the Zarak boss, is still insanely good money. Not quite as good as when necromancy released, but all the subjugation pieces are still between 10 and 12 million GP each, except for the ward, which hopefully you don't get any of those, but any other drop that you get from the subjugation drop list is going to give you 10 to 12 million GP. And that means that you don't have to worry about getting some boots and losing all your GP, or getting some gloves and it not being worth anything. They're all worth the same. So this boss right now is insanely consistent GP and is definitely something that I would suggest some lower level or mid-level players get into if you do need a few cheaper upgrades to get into. Now again, you can also AFK this if you have necromancy or soul split, or just you can AFK this pretty easily. There will be some AFK guides on YouTube, just have a quick Google, I'm sure someone will have one. But this boss can net you easily between 10 to 15 mil an hour probably, and even higher if you can kill it even faster. Now you may not get this every single hour, because some hours you'll get no drops, some hours you'll get 2 drops, some hours you might get 3 or 4 drops depending on how lucky you get, but this will just usually average out between that rate. Being a God Wars Dungeon 1 boss, this is probably one of the better places to go to get yourself started and upgrading your gear and not having to have too much requirements to begin with. Next up is a bit of a different one, and this isn't quite as good as it used to be because the prices of the tokens have gone up by a bit, but we're talking about the giant mimic in beginner mode. Now for someone who has almost no gear whatsoever, because this has no requirements at all, the beginner is so damn easy to kill, like level 30 gear, and you're gonna be able to make around about 7 mil an hour here, maybe up to 10 mil depending how lucky you get, but 7 mil an hour with level 30 combat requirements, like you don't need to worry at all about getting gold here. But you're going to buy the mimic kill tokens off the Grand Exchange. These are pretty pricey at the moment. They're around about 90k each, assuming you can get your hands on them for that. And then you want to stack those up and then use them just to fight the beginner version of the boss. Now, when you kill the beginner version of the boss, what you're looking for in this is the Scrimshaw of Aggression and the Scrimshaw of Sacrifice. The reason that you want these is because they're worth a lot of money. Obviously, the Scrimshaw of Sacrifice are like nearly 4 mil, and the Aggressions are like 1.5 mil each as well. And because the drop table is so small for this actual version of the boss, the beginner version, you get these pretty damn consistently, and you're going to be making a good amount of money. Once you've finished up here, you can absolutely look at getting 7 million GP an hour, about this 7 to 10 probably, depending on how fast you kill them, of course. But the requirements are so small here that you can do it at any level. So if you are going at like a level 50 character, you're not going to expect to get 7 mil an hour, right? Keep that in mind. If you're going to go at a lower level, it is going to take you longer to kill it, but it's going to still be really, really easy. And you can maybe get yourself like 3 to 5 mil an hour, maybe 2 to 3, something like that. But if you're level 50 and you're getting 3 mil an hour, that's insane. That's absolutely crazy. That's just crazy money for someone your level. But if you are a little bit higher and you're killing this boss super quickly, then you can expect to get between 7 and 10, so it scales up. But either way, this is a great method to take a look at for anybody who maybe has very, very little starting cash, little gear, and not stupidly high levels. You don't use a familiar here anyway, and you don't need to. This boss is stupidly easy to kill, so keep it in mind and give it a go. Next up, we're going to talk about the Dago Kings and the Rex matriarchs. So this one's going to be a little bit long, so bear with me. But let's start off with the Dago Kings. Now, the Dago Kings are a boss group that you're going to have to hybrid to be able to kill different types of the bosses. When you go here, ideally you would take a range, a melee, and a range weapon so that you can kill all 3 of these bosses and go around getting all the drops from each of them. Now you can make a really good amount of GP doing this because they drop the combat rings that then upgrade into the best in slot rings in the game right now. The Sears ring is still around about 9 million GP. The Berserker ring is sitting around about 15 million GP, and the Archer's ring is sitting around about 7 million GP, which is a lot of money considering these drops aren't that uncommon. Now, you want to kill off all of the bosses if you can, but if you only have one combat style leveled up, you could still go here and just camp that same one to make yourself a bit of money. But of course, this is going to drop how much you make per hour. But if you only have one combat style, you're only low level, you've only leveled up one thing, that's still going to be good money. Like, getting the one ring that you're aiming for is still going to be really good money. So it's something to keep in mind. This is definitely a favorite for a lot of players right now, to be able to just come and do some easy content, because these bosses are very old. You can definitely take them out very quickly and pretty consistently and make yourself a good amount of money too still, because these rings they're not like dead content anymore. They've been revived with the fact that they're now that they upgrade into the best in slot rings, and so you can make a good amount of money doing this with very little input to begin with. Now, moving on to the Rex Matriarchs, which is an upgraded version of the Dago Kings, it's the same sort of idea. However, at the Rex Matriarchs, you're going to want to focus on 2 specific of the 3 Matriarchs to be able to make some more money back. Now, ones that you want to focus on is going to be the REQUIERMENTS boss, which I think is the melee one, and then the oh my god, I can't pronounce it, the mage one. You want to kill the melee one and the magic one, because they are the ones that drop the good upgrade stones that then upgrade the old rings that you would get from the Dago Kings to make more money. So the drops that you're looking for from here is the Heart of the Seer and the Heart of the Warrior. These drop from the red dinosaur and the blue dinosaur, so the melee version and the magic version. And you will have to use magic to kill the melee one, and you'll have to use range to kill the magic one, just like you would with the Dago Kings as well. But these drop at around about 50 million GP each. They're 50 mil to get the upgrade stones to then upgrade the rings that come from the Dago Kings. So these kind of go in the same way, and you can just focus on killing one at a time here. You don't have to bring 3 combat styles and hybrid to kill all 3 of them. You can just camp the same boss if you wanted to, or you could cycle through all 3 of them if you're a high level and you can just blitz through them very quickly. These are not such low level bosses though for the Rex Matriarchs, because they do have combat mechanics that you're going to have to get used to, and that will take a little bit of practice. However, they're definitely not up there with the high level bosses, and so you will be able to do this with a little bit of practice and not anywhere near as high level gear, and still get yourself these drops. And again, the more you can kill them, the faster you can kill them, the more GP you can expect to actually make. Now, I'm not going to give you guys a GP per hour rate for these bosses to expect, because these bosses are kind of here as something to say, look, you can kill the Dago Kings with very low level gear and you can just focus one, or you can kill all of them, or you can go there with high level gear and blitz through them and get more. So the GP rate is just going to change, but you know the value of the drops. You know that the rings are like crazy good amount of GP, 7 mil, 8 mil, like 15 mil, it's really good. And then the same for the other stones at the Rex Matriarchs are 50 mil each. So when you do get them, you get a good boost of GP, and obviously the faster you kill them, the more you get. Finally, in this video, we're going to come back to one of my favorite bosses in the game, Carac. Now, Carac in normal mode isn't the easiest boss in the game. He probably does bridge between medium and higher level content, not high level content, because normal Carac, as a high level player, you blitz him and kill him in a minute, and it's really not that difficult, and you just don't have to really think about it. But as a mid-level player with not much gear, normal Carac is something that you will have to probably like pay attention to and try, but it's really fun. It's a lot of fun to do, and it's really rewarding. Again, with Carac normal mode, I'm not going to give you a specific GP per hour. The reason being is I don't think that you should be at this level anyway, focusing on I can make 20 mil an hour here or 30 mil an hour here, because you should be focusing, especially at Carac normal mode, if you are someone who doesn't have very high level gear, you should be focusing on 1, getting used to dealing with mechanics and learning PVM, and then focusing on 2, having fun and doing PVM if that's what you want to do, because there's probably other things you can do for similar GP rates anyway, and 3, if you just get through the kills, or you come in a group even, you're going to get big drops. The Carac in normal mode will drop you the Scripture of Jazz and the Greater Concentrated Blast Codex. Now, you're also going to get the Carac wrist wraps, but you're going to pray that you don't get those and you get the other drops instead. But if you get them, there's still a few mil that you can, sell on the GE and add to the coin pouch. With that being said, the common drops here are still really good as well, and will definitely make up for a lot of the GP you make. So, how much can you expect to make from the rare drops though when they do drop? Well, right now, the Scripture of Jazz is between 85 and 88 million GP. That's just from killing normal mode Carac if you do manage to get your hands on one. As for the Great Constraint Blast Codex, this has come down a little bit to 55 million GP. However, still 55 mil, which is a hell of a lot of money for someone who's just getting into like normal mode Carac level PVM. Like you're a beginner to PVM, you're practicing killing these bosses, so you're getting experience through that as well. You have to look at like value in learning to PVM as well as making money, because it's not just about making money. If you improve at PVM, you get better at this boss, you can kill it faster, you stop dying, you just deal with mechanics better, and you build that intuition on how to deal with bosses. That's only going to make you more money in the future as well. Think about it like leveling up a skill that doesn't exist. Imagine if PVM was a skill, and the better you get, the higher that level goes. Level it up, make more money. So you have two massive drops here at this boss that you can get advantage of. You're going to be learning PVM and you're getting the common drops as well, and this is a good place to come and bring some of your other lower level or mid level friends too, and absolutely blitz through this boss in a duo or a trio, and then split the drops or keep them. So take advantage of it. I do think normal Carac is great for the low levels and the mid levels, and getting into PVM too, and getting good money and coming with friends. There's a lot of stuff you can do here. There you go. That is the 5 groups of bosses, because Rex, Matriarchs, and Dago Kings were together, that I would suggest you guys focus on as low level and mid level players if you're trying to make money through PVM specifically. There's many ways in the game to do this to make money, but if you're looking at doing it through PVM because that's what you enjoy doing, these would be the places I would suggest you go if you don't have a high starting with gear, and also maybe you're practicing PVM, getting used to doing DPS, and leveling up your character as well. For those of you wondering, yes, I have made this video before in the past, but since necromancy's released, a few different places have become more accessible and prices of items have changed. For example, the Scripture of Jazz went from like 5 mil up to nearly 90 mil, so it's worth recovering this every now and again to update it for people who maybe have returned to the game who didn't see the last video. And of course, the last video is not being pushed into people's feed, whereas this one will be, so hopefully it's useful for more people. Anyway, I hope you all found this video useful. If you did, please do leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel, as many of you guys that watch all the content aren't currently subscribed. And other than that, I'll catch you all here in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.